Empire and Napoleon total war began the ability to release new nations into the map, as an alternative way to taking a settlement. I found this feature to be really interesting, so I decided to look into all the releasable nations and put them into the list of the 5 most interesting. Let's just start this off, number 5, and I believe it's pronounced Courtland. And the reason why this is here, and there's only one reason, out of all these nations on the list, it's the only one I'd never heard of. So I did some research. It turns out it was made a client state of France in 1812 during the invasion of Russia. It's in the Baltic region. I just found it really interesting because, I studied Napoleonic history at university, and it's a faction I'd never known about before, so it got me doing some research and I learnt something. And yeah, that's why I like this faction. I learnt something from it. Number 4. Greece is an interesting faction in my opinion. Mostly because of its, it's of course got an interesting history trying to get its independence from the Ottomans, but also because its starting position is quite good. It's a very decent settlement, Athens, and you're surrounded by the Ottoman Empire, so it's sort of like a war of independence because the Ottomans, they're not going to like it, they're going to be coming for you very soon. So it's a war of independence against the Ottoman Empire, and sort of like a First Balkan War, but about 100 years or so earlier. I like Greece, it could be an interesting let's play. Number 3, and this goes to Italy, which you can rise up whenever you take Milan or Rome, and I think there might be another settlement you can do it for. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, you can create the Kingdom of Italy, which historically I think Napoleon kind of did, but that kind of failed, it didn't last that long, and it became the Swiss Alpine Republic, I believe. This is just me trying to scrape whatever knowledge I can remember from it. Maybe I'm wrong. But the unification of Italy, the thought of it was around back then, and it's a very interesting idea and how they're played in the global European politics as well. So yeah, I just like its historical background. The Let's Play campaign's fun as well, I did do this, trying to unite all of Italy under one banner. You got to have a historical approach to it as well. You got to use the French as allies to kick the Austrians out, and secure that side, but then you've also got to go against the French and secure other territories as well that you didn't want to unify Italy. So you got to negotiate your way around because you're never going to be strong enough to take on both. It's just a fun campaign, and I want to do a let's play on it someday. I think that could be a good live stream. Alright, I'm going to give you an honourable mention now. I wanted to put this one on the list because of its interesting starting location, but I decided not to. Hungary. You start off in Budapest, completely surrounded by the Austrians, and it could be fun to get along with the Austrians but still expand into their land to create an Austro-Hungarian empire sort of thing. Of course that's not really possible, but if you vassalise Austria, I guess you could create a Hungarian-Austrian empire. But yeah, it's just got an interesting starting location with it being completely surrounded the way it is. And at least Greece and all the others, there's a way out. Like Brittany, you can expand out the seas and go up to Britain or down south to Spain. You don't have to tackle France. With Greece, you don't have to go for the Ottomans if you don't want to. You can go and go for southern Italy instead. But with Hungary, no, you gotta go for the Austrians. There's only one real way about it. Number 2, my second favourite Emergent faction, and that is for Norway. And the reason it's here is because it's an ultimate challenge sort of faction. You start off freezing cold, right in the north, right in the corner of the map. You can't really expand anywhere, you're gonna need to get some ships going. But first of all, you've got to build a port for that, and yeah, it's going to take you a while to get started, and by the time you are, Denmark's going to be strong and probably want to take your land, and it's just a very challenging campaign. You can't build many buildings in, I believe Oslo will be its capital. I think you only get 1 or 2 building slots, so 1 for barracks, and then that's no cannons. yeah, it could be a bit tight there. So you need to expand, but you can't really get the troops at the start. Interesting campaign. Although, in my opinion, if you are looking for a Napoleon Total War Ultimate Challenge campaign, Bavaria is it. I played Bavaria once, and it was the first time in Napoleon Total War that I'd been destroyed. I just couldn't even survive. I tried it 3 times, died 3 times over. Very rough campaign. Right in the middle as well. Ugh. And in first place, the most interesting faction, and for actually many reasons, Poland, also known in the game as the Duchy of Warsaw. Okay, where to begin? Well, first of all, it's an actual faction. And what I mean by that is, it has its own intro. If you use DarthMod and load up as the Duchy of Warsaw, then, you know, you have your faction intro. Well, Poland has theirs, and I'm going to play it for you now.
Your first priority should be to keep the fragile Commonwealth together. There are many threats to its security from all sides. Prussia has imperial ambitions and desires to connect its fractured territory. Sweden and Russia are squaring up for war, while the Austrian Empire already controls much of the region and may expand eastward.
So yeah, as you can hear there, it's got a faction intro, which I found to be very interesting. Why is it there? I've got no idea. Maybe the DarthMod developers made that, or maybe it was secretly in the game files and they just reused it. I don't know. If anyone knows about the development of Napoleon Total War DarthMod, and you know why that's there, please let me know, it could be interesting. But Poland, they've also got their own unit roster as well, lots of interesting units there, and it's in a way kind of historical. Like, you can imagine you've just started some big independence movement, some uprising, and you've broken away from the Prussians, and now you're trying to, reform the Polish Lithuania or whatever. Because at around this time, that did historically happen. More like 5 or 10 years earlier, but it still did happen. So it does have some historical link there. And in addition to that, you are surrounded by 3 great powers who probably don't want you there. The Prussians, well, we know Germany's history with Poland. The Russians, well, we know the Russian history with Poland. And the Austrians, who, their history is not that known, but, Austria took a bit of Poland as well from time to time in history. And that is reflected in the game, because as soon as you launch, turn 1, Prussia will almost always go to war with you, and you start off with no armies, but they don't attack immediately. They give you like 2 or 3 turns until they will be able to arrive with troops. So it's got like 2 or 3 turns to build your armies, and all of a sudden the Prussians have you under siege. So it is a challenge campaign, but it has historical background to it as well, and just, yeah, historical reference to it, and I really like the Duchy of Warsaw. That could be a fun Let's Play to live stream as well someday. But yeah, that's it, that's my list, and I think this is a good idea going forwards, like top 5 interesting releasable factions, or hidden factions in Total War. But I'm sure there'll be some in Empire, Rome 2, Attila, and all the other historical titles that involve them as well. And I believe Age of Charlemagne has formable factions, so I want to do a top 5 formable factions as well. Could find some interesting stuff in there. But anyway, that's been everything. If you have enjoyed this, please do like and subscribe. If you know anyone who would be interested in this video, please do share it with them, as that helps me grow. I've been MELKOR, hope to see you in the next one, and goodbye.